Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different. We're exploring a source that feels, well, both ancient and surprisingly relevant right now. We're going deep into an excerpt from a text. It's just marked 1. Today I begin a new life. Now, on the surface, it might look like a guide for salespeople.
Yeah, that's often the context it's seen in.
Right, but honestly, the principles in here feel universal. Our mission today is to unpack the core ideas in the scroll, ideas that promise a really radical personal transformation. We're focusing on what it actually means to shed an old identity and really truly embrace a new one.
And it's important to stress this isn't just, feel-good motivational stuff. It's very prescriptive, almost like a manual for living, really.
A manual, yeah.
It lays out the specific philosophy and a very step-by-step method for change. And what's fascinating is how much it pushes back against conventional wisdom about success.
Okay, let's jump right in then, because it opens with these incredibly powerful lines. Today I begin a new life.
Straight away.
Today I shed my old skin, which has too long suffered the bruises of failure and the wounds of mediocrity. Today I am born anew. I mean, that imagery, rebirth, actively leaving things behind, it's just so vivid, isn't it?
Absolutely. It sets this tone of a complete break from the past, no looking back.
Yeah, a clean slate.
And right after that, you get this compelling metaphor, the vineyard. The idea is you pluck these grapes of wisdom from the tallest and fullest vines, the ones planted by wise people before you.
Okay.
And then, crucially, you have to swallow the seed of success that's inside each grape. So it's not just passive learning.
Right, it's like internalizing it, making it part of you.
Exactly. It's got to become part of your core.
And then it connects this high-minded idea to a pretty harsh reality. It talks about the career chosen, saying it's laden with opportunity, yet it is fraught with heartbreak and despair.
It doesn't pull punches there.
No, and it paints this really grim picture, the bodies of those who failed. If you piled them up, one atop another would cast a shadow down upon all the pyramids of the earth.
It is. It really emphasizes the stakes.
Yet, despite that, the speaker's conviction is just absolute. Yet I will not fail as the others, for in my hands I now hold the charts which will guide me through perilous waters. It's so defiant.
And what's really remarkable there, I think, is the scroll's absolute rejection of failure. It doesn't see it as natural or inevitable.
How does it phrase that?
It says, just as nature made no provision for my body to tolerate pain, neither has it made any provision for my life to suffer failure. Failure, like pain, is alien to my life.
Wow. Failure is alien.
Yeah. It's not just optimism, it's a radical reframing. Failure isn't something you just accept. It's like a poison your system should reject.
So it shifts the whole perspective on setbacks.
Completely. It puts the onus differently. And this sets up this huge aspiration, not just for, getting a bit better, but for this massive shift, moving out of the shadows into the sunlight of wealth, position, and happiness far beyond my most extravagant dreams.
It's aiming high.
Extremely high. Until even the golden apples in the Garden of Hesperides will seem no more than my just reward. It's really reaching for the extraordinary.
That's an incredibly bold stance, almost audacious. But how practical is it? Or is it more about the mindset? Because speaking of shifts, let's talk about patience and the scroll's, frankly, surprising take on knowledge and experience.
Right, this is another area where it challenges common thinking.
It notes, time teaches all things to him who lives forever, but I have not the luxury of eternity. Okay, fair enough. Yet within my allotted time, I must practice the art of patience. Then it gives this contrast. The olive, king of all trees, needing 100 years, versus an onion plant that's old in 9 weeks.
I have a very clear visual.
And the speaker makes this self-assessment that I think a lot of people can relate to. I have lived as an onion plant. It has not pleased me. Now I would become the greatest of olive trees and, in truth, the greatest of salesmen. It really highlights that desire for deep, lasting growth over, quick, superficial results.
Which then raises a really important question for you, the listener. How do you actually get that deep olive tree kind of greatness? Especially if you don't have decades of experience or traditional knowledge.
And what is the scroll's answer? Because it sounds like it might be unconventional.
Oh, it is. It's truly counterintuitive. It declares, I will commence my journey unencumbered with either the weight of unnecessary knowledge or the handicap of meaningless experience.
Handicap, meaningless experience, that's strong.
It is. And here's where it directly confronts common beliefs. It flat out states that the value of experience is overrated, usually by old men who nod wisely and speak stupidly.
Wow, okay. That's dismissing a lot of perceived wisdom right there.
Yeah.
What's the logic behind that? Why is experience overrated?
Well, it gives a few reasons. It says experience devours men's years, and its value actually diminishes over the time it takes to get it.
So the return on investment decreases.
Kind of, and it ends with this rather grim point. The end finds it wasted on dead men. Yeah. It also uses this analogy, saying experience is comparable to fashion. What worked yesterday, an action that proves successful today, will be unworkable and impractical tomorrow.
Okay, so it's about adaptability then, not getting stuck in old ways.
Exactly. It's a direct challenge to just relying on this is how we've always done it. Is clinging to past methods actually holding you back? That's the question it poses.
So what does it value, if not experience?
The scroll's answer is crystal clear. Only principles endure. These core, unchanging truths. And it insists these principles are right there in the scrolls themselves.
Right. So if experience and maybe even vast amounts of knowledge are seen as potentially overrated, what is the absolute key to success, according to this scroll?
Well, it pivots to what it considers the central point about human behavior. It states its purpose is more to prevent failure than to gain success.
That's interesting phrasing. Prevent failure first.
Yeah, because it defines success simply as a state of mind. But failure is always described but one way. Failure is man's inability to reach his goals in life, whatever they may be.
Okay, a clear definition.
And then it delivers the core differentiator, the absolute key. In truth, the only difference between those who have failed and those who have succeeded lies in the difference of their habits.
Just that. The only difference.
That's the claim. It's a powerful, almost stark simplification, isn't it?
It really is. It cuts through everything else.
It boils it all down to what you consistently do, your habits, day in, day out.
And it gets even more direct. It quotes, "Good habits are the key to all success. Bad habits are the unlocked door to failure." Plain and simple. Which leads to the very first law. It says, you have to obey. I will form good habits and become their slave.
No, that's a provocative statement. Become their slave.
It really is. It acknowledges that we're often already slaves, right? It says adults are slave to their habits, having surrendered my free will to the years of accumulated habits.
That doesn't shy away from that reality.
No, it lists these tyrants that rule us. Appetite, passion, prejudice, greed, love, fear, environment, habit. And specifically calls habit the worst of these tyrants.
So it sees habit as this incredibly powerful force, potentially negative.
But then it offers the way out, the solution. If I must be a slave to habit, let me be a slave to good habits. And the mechanism for making that switch
is crucial.
Yeah. Only a habit can subdue another habit. You can't just wish a bad habit away.
Exactly. You have to replace it. If you connect this to the bigger picture, the scroll is basically saying habits are the fundamental architects of our destiny.
Architects of destiny. I like that.
It's a deep psychological insight, really. True change isn't just about willpower. You can't just grit your teeth harder. It's about systematically, methodically replacing old patterns with new ones, one habit at a time.
So it's about building a new structure.
Precisely. This understanding of habit as the master sets the stage for the very specific, actionable instructions that follow. It's suggesting, look, if you want a new life, you don't just decide it. You build it, habit by habit.
Okay, so if habits are these architects, as you said, how does the scroll actually tell you to build them? How does it translate that big idea into something you do every day?
Well, this is where the message gets really practical, almost ritualistic.
Ritualistic.
Yeah. It explains that each scroll, like the one we're discussing, contains a principle which will drive a bad habit from my life and replace it with one which will bring me closer to success.
Okay. One principle per scroll.
Right. And the very first new habit it mandates is the disciplined reading of these scrolls.
Just reading them.
Not just reading them in a very specific way. It details this precise manner. You have to read each scroll for 30 days straight before you even look at the next one.
30 days on one scroll. Okay, what's the daily routine?
It's incredibly specific. 3 times a day. First, you read it silently when you wake up. Second, silently again after your midday meal.
Got it.
And third, and this is the interesting part, you read it aloud just before you go to sleep.
Aloud. Why aloud, do you think?
It doesn't explicitly state why, but reading aloud engages different parts of the brain. It makes it more active, more physical, maybe helps cement it differently.
And this exact routine, every day for 30 days.
Every single day. It says, on the next day, I will repeat this procedure and I will continue in like manner for 30 days. It's clearly not just about intellectual understanding. It's about deep, deep internalization. Repetition is key.
So burning it into your brain, essentially.
And maybe deeper than that. What's fascinating is how the scroll explains why this repetition works, how it affects the mind.
What does it say?
It explains that as you repeat the words, sure, they'll become part of your active mind, your conscious thinking, but it says, more important, they will also seep into my other mind.
Your other mind.
That mysterious source which never sleeps, which creates my dreams and often makes me act in ways I do not comprehend.
So the subconscious.
Essentially, yes. It's describing deliberately programming your subconscious, that deeper operating system. It's quite sophisticated for an old text.
It really is. So it's about embedding these principles at a level beyond just conscious thought. What kind of results does it promise if you do this diligently?
The promises are pretty extraordinary, actually. Awakening with a vitality I have never known before. Increased vigor, rising enthusiasm,
Wow.
overcoming every fear, becoming happier than I ever believed it possible. It's talking about a fundamental shift in your state of being.
And the ultimate outcome.
Is that eventually I will find myself reacting to all situations which confront me as I was commanded in the scrolls to react. So the new principles become automatic responses.
Instinctive.
Exactly. And it even explains the mechanics of how that habit forms. Any act with practice becomes easy. Repetition makes it easier. Thus, a new and good habit is born.
Makes sense.
For when an act becomes easy through constant repetition, it becomes a pleasure to perform. This is interesting. It links ease with pleasure.
Right. We like doing things we're good at, things that feel easy.
Precisely. And if it is a pleasure to perform, it is man's nature to perform it often. When I perform it often, it becomes a habit and I become its slave. And since it is a good habit, this is my will.
So you willingly become a slave to a good habit because it feels good and serves you.
That's the idea. So for you listening, this isn't just abstract philosophy. It offers these incredibly detailed, actionable instructions for really changing your behavior, not by force, but through this structured, repetitive, habit-forming process.
Okay, so as we start to wrap up this deep dive into just the first of these scrolls, wow. The power of its message about creating a new life is, it's really compelling.
It definitely lays out a clear path.
And the commitment required is serious. The speaker makes a solemn oath to lose not a day from these readings. No skipping days.
Consistency is paramount.
Right. And it frames the effort involved as minimal compared to the reward.
Mm-hmm.
The few moments spent each day on this new habit are what a small price to pay for the happiness and success that will be mine.
Puts it in perspective.
But there's also this crucial warning, which I think is important. Never will I allow the brevity of each scroll nor the simplicity of its words to cause me to treat the scroll's message lightly.
Yeah, don't dismiss it just because it seems simple. It's a reminder that profound truths aren't always complicated. Sometimes the simplest ideas applied consistently have the biggest impact.
Exactly. And it brings us back to that grapes of wisdom metaphor one last time. Thousands of grapes are pressed to fill one jar with wine. Only the pure truth lies distilled in the words to come.
Concentrated wisdom.
I will drink as instructed and spill not a drop. The seed of success I will swallow. And then it closes with that incredibly powerful, transformative final image. Today my old skin has become as dust. I will walk tall among men and they will know me not, for today I am a new man with a new life. Just chills.
It really paints a picture of total transformation. So, this whole deep dive into just the first scroll, it really reveals this meticulously designed system for profound personal change. And it's all rooted in the consistent, almost ritualistic adoption of good habits.
Yeah.
Which I think really begs a question for you, the listener. If this scroll is right, if the key to success and happiness truly lies in mastering our habits, what specific, small, maybe even tiny, consistent action could you commit to starting today? What could be the first step that begins to write the first chapter of your own new life?